All right, today we have Marie Houlden as our special guest, and Marie helps women in particular who are in a place where they are stuck and they are looking for mind, body, soul connection. And she helps women to align mind, body, and soul to create health, wealth, and happiness. Thank you, Marie, for taking the time. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's really nice to connect. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Would you just like to tell us a bit about your journey? How did you get to where you are? What are the biggest challenges that you had to overcome to get where you are? And where are you in your life
Oh,
right
where
now?
am I? Yeah, good question. I'm in the UK. I'm based on the south coast of the UK. So I live in like a beach town, which is really lovely. And yeah, so I do a combination of work with people. So I do lots of in-person stuff, and I do stuff like remotely, like we are now over Skype. And it is very much about that piece of aligning. So having the body, the mind, and the soul. For me, I'm a big, very, very spiritual, and it's about having all of that in alignment, because when all of those are complementing each other and they're in balance, you tend to find that life really flows. It's easy. But when one of those is just not feeling right, when your health is not where you want it to be, it really affects how happy you feel. And it's about having all three consistently working well, I guess. So my journey, I started working as, first of all, a kinesiologist, which is like an alternative therapy, about 5 years ago. And just over the years, I've added my toolkit. So looking at coaching, and I do EFT, I do loads of stuff around law of attraction, I do Reiki energy healing. So it's just lots of different things I've got in my toolkit that, depending on where you are as a client, and depending whether you're in person or you're over Skype, it's just what I whip out of that toolkit to use with the person. And it's different for everyone. And that's the beauty of it, because no one person is the same. So
Yeah, so
it
true.
keeps me on my toes.
Yeah. I remember that from our first conversation that I really had this experience of like you just met me where I was. Like I didn't. It was amazing to see how you just integrated so many different things into getting me where I wanted to be. And like I think I wasn't even clear where I wanted to go with the conversation. But during our talk, I did, and I got so much out of it. I remember that. So
Really.
yeah, I really admire that you spread out and did so many different things, but in the end, they all come together into one.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
was a good conversation.
yeah, exactly. So, what motivated you to start your own business and go into helping people and all that?
Yeah, so in my old life, I worked corporately for a large financial organization, and I enjoyed what I did, but I didn't love it. And then when when life gets stressful, when work became stressful, and then I had children, you start looking and questioning, going, why am I working so hard for something that is okay? I like it,
Yeah.
but actually I don't love it. I'm not waking up every morning going, I can't believe how lucky I am. I get to pick my hours. It fits around the kids. It just felt like life was hard, and I wasn't really doing what I'm most passionate about,
Yeah.
and that's helping people step into that next best version of themselves and fulfill their potential. I was massively into alternative therapy and spirituality. I was going to work corporately, and I was like, hang on a minute, this just doesn't feel right. And then I became ill because mentally I wasn't in the right space. I didn't really want to be there, and I was like, right, okay, stop. Just need to stop. And yeah, I started retraining, And then I just thought, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm just going to leave. And I went on maternity leave with my second child, and we moved 2 hours away from where I work. So there was just no way that it was going to, we moved, and I was on maternity leave, and I was like, I'm not going back. That's it. I'm putting a stake in the ground. My purpose is to help people. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Amazing.
So it might have been crazy or foolish just to say, no, I'm leaving. But no, that's what worked for me.
Yeah. And how did you make you quit, but what happened after? Like, how did you set up the business? Or how did you decide which way to go with it? Anyway, like, what happened next? You quit, you moved, what happened?
So I very much focused on sort of in-person stuff initially because I guess, I was meeting mums at school, and I just gained my qualification in kinesiology. So I really wanted to practice. And I think that over time I realized that what I love are the deep, dark emotions. Mm-hmm. And so where a lot of people get really scared by that, I'm like, oh, do you know what? The deeper and the darker, the better for me, because I'm happy to be with someone in that place. It's not scary to me. There's no judgment. It's just one soul meeting another soul exactly where they're at, and being able to help them move forward. And that's when I started doing the coaching. So I thought, you know what? I really want to explore this side of things a little more. And then started to do more work online. So, that was the next step. And it was hard, that those initial steps, because I kept thinking, should I be doing in-person stuff? No, it's online. No, it's in person. And I was, really conflicted. And I realized that actually they could just work alongside each other. And again, it's just the right people will find you, and you just help them where they're at, wherever that might be in the world. So,
and do you have any advice of, like, I guess a lot of people can relate to that, especially in the beginning. It's like, oh, but I could go that way, and I could go do this, and I could go get this certification, and I can do this course. And how can we decide? How can we figure out what's the best next step? And then the second part to that is, what's your take on certifications? So, like, I've noticed that a lot of people get to a point where they're just consuming information, and they're trying to get this certificate and this certificate, but then they don't end up doing anything. So those two parts, I'd be interested what you think about it.
Okay, so I'll go with the second part first. So, and it's interesting you asked that question, because one of my own coaching clients has asked me that very same question this week, because she really wants to start making an impact, but she's like, but I'm not qualified, Marie. And I was like, it doesn't matter, because if you've got something to offer, then you can help people. And by not stepping up and into your own light, potentially somebody else isn't stepping up and into their own light, because they're waiting for you. So you've always got something to share. I have got qualifications, but that's purely because I am obsessed by learning. I love the process. And there's certain things like the kinesiology to practice. I had to be certified, and I have to do every year continual professional development. So that sort of pushes me into doing qualifications. But I just love the process. And I think if you love the process, then do it. But don't let it stop you because you haven't got it, because you've always got something to offer.
Yeah.
And what was the first question? I can't remember now.
Good question.
What were we talking about?
Wait, I was talking, you said, I don't remember.
Oh, how do you know? How do you know? Yeah. Yeah, how do you know? Do you know, it's that sense of I just have to do this, rather than I need to do this, I need to get this qualification. It's like you look at a qualification, maybe in coaching or whatever it is that you're into, and you just go, oh, yeah, no, your heart just fills with glee, and you're like, I have to do that because it looks just so great, and it's just a calling. But if it makes you feel excited, then go for it. But if it's like oh God, I have to do that, ugh, then it's not the right thing. Just park it.
Yeah.
And don't do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. That's great advice. Don't do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot with the idea of having different, so that like it's okay to have different passions. I felt a lot of pressure having to decide for one, and like you've done different things. Like how did you, how did you make it okay for yourself to go focus on something else while you were still doing the other things as well? So how did that all work?
Initially it was a challenge because I remember last year I was doing kinesiology pretty much like in person every day, and I knew that I wanted to do more with coaching, and so I joined a coaching mastermind, and I felt this real pressure that I should just be like a pure coach, just do coaching. And I was really torn with myself between, but I've got all these other skills that I really do, the energy piece, I love doing that. I've got this knowledge of kinesiology, where does that fit? I felt like I was being pulled. And it was only when I said, you know what, it's okay that this is my own blend, this is my own style. I bring my knowledge and my experience to that client, it's okay. And as soon as I accepted myself, actually it just fell into place. And that was the interesting thing, where I was, suddenly I had more clients than I'd had before. My income tripled. And I was like, oh, so that was the missing piece. I just had to accept myself and just accept what I did. And it didn't matter that it didn't look like everybody else in my coaching group. So what? So
how
that was interesting.
That is really cool. And I think, isn't that what we're all kind of looking for? Like we want to want the pieces to fall into place. How can I be like okay with that? Like how can I get to that point? Is there something I can do? And like you said, accepting yourself. Like what's a practice I could do to get there?
That's a really good question. Meditation, without doubt. That was a game changer for me, like committing to doing it every day. And I resisted it for months. And I knew I should do it. And everyone said I should do it. And I was like, no, I haven't got time. I've got to try and figure things out. And I was so up in my head trying to figure it out. And it was when I stopped and committed to doing meditation every day, that helped. What else? Maybe it's asking yourself the reasons why you're not prepared to accept who you are. Because if you were to accept all parts of you and what you did, what would that mean?
I love that question.
Yeah. Because you can open yourself up to a lot of criticism, potentially, where people go, oh, I don't do it like that. Oh, that's not my style. And it's like, well, that's fine. But yeah, those two things.
Cool. Yeah, nice little. Well, one is of course meditation, very practical, very you can do that every day, and it's nice to have a journaling question in there, or actually two questions. So definitely we'll post them in the post for people to get out their journals and answer them. Why don't you tell us a bit about what's going on right now? Like what's happening in your life, in your business?
So right now, the biggest thing I've got going on is that I'm just about to launch a 6-week e-course, which is, I'm so it's just amazing for me, because it's to get to this point after, working through loads of different challenges and building your reputation over the last few years to get to this point is really amazing. And it basically brings together everything I've learned from clients working one-to-one over the last few years in terms of what biggest challenges and emotional issues like from the past, so self-belief and fear and self-esteem and all the stories that we bring to the table. It's about looking at that and saying, well, how are those things, those beliefs keeping me stuck so that you can't move as freely into the future as you would like? And so it addresses all of the emotional bits and pieces so that people can just let it all go, forgive and have compassion for others and themselves, and just enjoy life. It should be easy. It should be fun. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and it sounds amazing. And I guess it ties in with the question earlier, like how can I accept myself? Like how can I be okay with that? And so is it just purely an online program, or how do you support people when they join? Like, I guess there's a lot of personal stuff going on. So is there a way to share with you or with others?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've done is I've pulled together. There's a Facebook group just for people that are going through the program, so you can have that safe space to express and be supported by me and others. I think it's important to know that you're not alone. And often people go, God, I'm really struggling with this. And then when somebody else is too, you go, oh, so I am normal. This is normal. It's all part of the process of life. And there's also some weekly calls. So 2 hours a week to fit in with different time zones to come on a call and be coached live. So do some coaching with me, do some tapping, EFT with me. Absolutely love that. It's great for releasing emotions and energies from the past. So lots of opportunity to share and to move forward and to let the past go.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm excited. And I guess we'll get to my favorite question. What would you tell your college self if you could travel back in time?
Oh, what would I tell my college self? The thing that comes up for me, I remember starting my first year of uni, because that's what we call it here in the UK. And I knew within a month of starting university that I was on the wrong course. And but at that time, I had this belief that I was not a quitter, and that to change the course was failing, and that I didn't do that because my family didn't do that. It wasn't the done thing. And I wish I could go back and tell my younger me, do you know what? Quit. Stop. Just take time out. Go get a job. Go travel. Find out who you are and what you really want to do. Because I then struggled through 4 years of a course that I really didn't like. I was like, for what? Just that I could say I wasn't a quitter. That I didn't fail. But then I failed myself because I didn't listen to myself. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's powerful. I like that. I definitely had to deal with that myself in my because I did actually quit, but it took me a while to get over it, and it was the right choice at the time. And I wouldn't be where I am. What you said, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone through all these steps, and some of them included a 1 year only doing 1 year of a 3-year program and deciding okay, this is really not for me, and spending another 2 years of my beautiful life on that. Am I really going to be happier just because I finished it? Powerful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And where can our viewers, our listeners, find more about you, the work you do, connect with you?
Fab. Well, the best place is through my website. So it's www.mariehoulden.com, and Houlden is Houlden. And there's everything you need to know just there. Lots of free resources as well, which is always handy.
Perfect. Of course, I'll link to that, and then I'm excited to see how your program goes.
Thank you.
And yeah, excited to connect soon again. And thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much. It's been really good fun.